Hello, and welcome to Radiant Spirit, a podcast about self-love and living your most authentic life. Today, I am super excited to introduce, I've got my friend April Veach with me today of Dragon's Gate Reiki, up to some incredible things in Billings, Montana. And yeah, really stoked that you had some time this afternoon to hop on with me and share what's going on out there in Billings with Dragon's Gate. And yeah, all of this healing that you've been doing in the last decade since I've seen you last.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Truly honored. I know we stayed in touch via Facebook and just kind of really interesting leaving like a corporate job to moving into the work that we've been doing. And so it's really awesome for both of us to kind of like parallel move into healing modalities. And so it's really awesome. Um, I started Dragon's Gate Reiki about almost 4 years ago. And here in Billings, as you know, it's a pretty conservative environment, so it felt like I was really taking a risk to go out and do this. But um, I don't shy away from my experiences. I am in mental health recovery. And I think it was 2018 or 2019, things got really hard for me. I was not well. And I was at the time working in social work, and it was just really heavy and things were getting worse and worse. And I'm a huge advocate for Western medicine, going to a counselor and all of those things. And I was hitting all the boxes, right? Doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, and just felt like nothing I was doing was enough. And one of my coworkers at the time was like, "Have you tried Reiki? Like, have you given this a chance?" And I was like, "Never heard of it, didn't know what it was." So I start going to a Reiki practitioner, and I was feeling the results of that, but could not afford it. Like the person that I was going to was so expensive that I was like, well, this is great, when I can't afford it. Like, would love to do more of this. How do I make this work? So I was going as often as I could. I think at the time it was like maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I just could not afford it. Fast forward to 2019, and unfortunately, I end up attempting to take my life. Like my mental health had spiraled so far out of control that I end up inpatient for a week. I'm not good. And I have to make some decisions, about like how I'm going to navigate my future. What am I going to do? So I continue counseling. I continue seeing my doctor, all of the things. But I take this look at my life and like, what do I want? I want help, like I want more. I want heart healing, right? Like I want to live, but I don't want to live like this. So um I decide to start getting more help within, I guess you would say, like integrative medicine, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm willing to do the Western, but I want more, um, well, some people call it hippy dippy, right? Like I want
yeah,
more
that is my
options.
vibe, girl.
Yeah, I want more
That's it.
options. Like give me something else because this other stuff is great, to a degree, but it's just
Right.
not filling the gap. And sure enough, 2020 rolls around and COVID, boom, the worst thing for someone in addiction or mental health recovery or any of those things is probably isolation.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I'm speaking for myself and the people that I knew closest to me that were in COVID and struggling with addiction or, in my case, mental health recovery. Isolation was horrific.
Right.
And so, dun, da, 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 a relapse occurs. And a relapse for someone in mental health recovery is um, another attempt, things like that. And so I'm
Yeah.
not in a good place again.
Yeah. The
I,
suicide rates have been out of control these past few
mhm,
years. And it's like not to get off tangent, but it's striking to me how those rates continue to continue. They're just going, even though isolation is over, like it's mental health is something that needs to be seriously addressed. And it's
absolutely.
yeah, by incorporating other modalities of healing, not just this
Yes.
black and white, oh, well, there's a pill for that, there's a pill for this. Well, those are all well and good. Getting to the bottom of where is this coming from and getting down to the bottom of the heart of it. That is so freaking important. I'm really glad that you, yeah. said, this is
Yeah,
enough.
and
Um,
yeah, that isolation, I think I don't remember what it was, but I was on Facebook and a Reiki certification like scrolled across my Facebook page and I was just like, what is this? And it wasn't that I clicked on it, but it just like caught my mind and I thought, I want to look into this. And it was like this aha moment of I want to make Reiki accessible and affordable. Because the issue wasn't that Reiki wasn't working for me, it was that I couldn't afford it.
right. Yeah.
And so I did. I found a Reiki master that I absolutely adore, by the way. She's fabulous. She's in Oregon and she
Oh,
was
what is her
teaching
name?
virtually. Jamaica Wallace.
Jamaica Wallace.
She's
Okay.
fantastic. Yeah,
Okay.
she's fantastic. Truly amazing human being. She was teaching virtually because of COVID.
Yeah.
So she was teaching via Zoom and she was teaching in small classes, very affordable. And her program was awesome. And I was like, I love this woman. I love this class. And so I did. I started my Reiki process. And that was the beginning of my journey. And I thought, I have an opportunity right now to change the trajectory of not only my life, right? Like my healing journey, but others where I can make it accessible and affordable. And that's essentially the beginning of Dragon's Gate Reiki. I mean, right there. It
It's
was
so
like, this is
beautiful.
my mission and value right here.
Can
That's the
I
foundation.
ask? So I felt so inspired to like grab some books before I came out to my studio, and I was like, I wonder if you did the Diane Stein Reiki. Like this is the Reiki.
I have done that one.
Yes, so this is what my partner and I are both certified in, and yeah, and got the pleasure of doing it in person right when things opened up. But I've been watching what you're doing on social media, and I feel like I've just been following in your path on so many things. And I love that you mentioned also breath work. And I know you're getting to that. I'm like, oh God, breath work and sound healing. Those are what I see where I'm headed. So so great watching you and where you're going. And you're freaking inspirational, especially
Oh, thank
knowing
you.
your location. Like, yes, we met in
Yes.
I asked
Yes.
my partner, I was asking him, do you think it's like bad if I say we met in the depths of hell?
Well, it's interesting because this environment, Billings, is again not this is not an intentional political thing, but it's a very conservative area and it's very rural. And so our it's not just about like what's available to us as a societal, it's about what's available to us medically. Like we're very
Yes,
rural, so there's very few like medical options. A great example is I had a total hysterectomy. And I'm very high risk for breast cancer. And so they were like, we can't put you on estrogen because of your breast cancer risk.
right.
We need to get you tested for the gene. The person that handles that gene testing hasn't worked at the hospital for over a year and they can't even hire someone to replace them. That's how rural we are. And we're the biggest city in the state of Montana. So when you
Yeah.
start to think about like Billings or just this general area of Montana, we're very conservative. So views on the work that you and I do, Reiki, yoga, all of these things, it's really kind of frowned upon. It's not very accepted. And modalities just of westernized medicine, very hard to come by here. And I'm speaking as someone who's endured actual, you know, typical procedures like a hysterectomy, but also I have been to the psych ward, and that experience, not pleasant. Like we just do not have resources as a rural environment. Montana has, I believe, last time they checked, the third highest suicide rate in the country.
Yeah,
We're
I believe
dealing
it.
with a lot of um, medical statistics and a lot of societal statistics that just really place us at a disadvantage. And so when we come in with our hippy dippy stuff of like, hey, let's try Reiki, people kind of get weird. And even yoga, which is such to me, a common thing, yoga's
Yeah.
fitness. I remember my mom saying that it was the gateway to the devil. And I thought, it's just yoga, So those are just some
I
things that we face as practitioners and I know Montana is not the only place. There's a lot of practitioners that face that in their communities. And my heart goes out to you because it makes it hard to do the work that you have a joy and a desire to do, but it also makes it hard to run a business.
absolutely. I thought being here in California that would be um kind of different. But as far as like a scale of healthcare where we live specifically, which is in Eureka. So most of California calls us Oregon because we are right up there at the border. And it's a small town community. And so, yeah, to get medical procedures, things like that, you mostly have to drive 5 hours to San Francisco or even Santa Rosa, whatever, to get anything done, or Sacramento. We're 5 or 6 hours away from decent medical care. And that's where it seems like Reiki practitioners, naturopaths, it's like we're more needed in these areas. Fortunately, I live in an area where we are bombarded with natural healers. So, but again, that makes it really hard to run a business when
It
everybody
does.
is doing the same thing. It's certainly a saturated market here. I would love to be able to, I would love to see people who have come to this concentrated area to learn from each other be able to span out and reach more people in smaller communities. I mean, not that we're a small town hippie community, but um, like the balance and taking the best of both worlds. It's what our society needs right now, particularly if we're going to be addressing mental health. Um, it's really about finding a balance, so that in a natural way we can get to the bottom of what this is that's hurting, what's trying to be self-soothed, what is aching, um, to know how to go forward and heal those wounds, heal society in that sense, instead of just um yeah, a lot of people just getting forgotten and lost in a system that just cannot stand up to the volume that is needing to be addressed. Yeah.
No, I get that. And if it's any comfort at all, I will say Billings is incredibly saturated too. It was like there was this big boom of
Oh,
Reiki and yoga. Um, Shaman is a term, and they're everywhere now. And
really?
it is a very oversaturated. And to some degree, I'm
Really?
on the fence. I really believe that like Reiki is something that everyone should be able to do and whatnot. Um, and then the other side of me is like, as long as it's ethical, as long as it's, you're teaching according to, I'm a Virgo to a T, sorry. So I'm like, as long as you're
I'm
within
a Virgo
the,
moon.
like you're
I got you,
teaching
girl.
according, you know, within the Reiki guidelines. And so it's like when I see a lot of people that just hopped on the bandwagon and it's like, I don't even know how you're certified. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know
Right.
what you're doing here.
That
Then
is a
it
big
becomes
thing.
disheartening.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
big thing. And like I was sharing with you before we started recording this about just like expecting other people that I'm connecting with. And you never know who you're connecting with on the internet, just like, yeah, like everybody knows this, right? But um, even face to face when you're meeting with someone, I expect that people are going to show up with the same integrity that I show up in this world with. And it is so disheartening time after time to be like, whoa, that is not how everybody moves through this world. And to remember, like it always for me comes back to the four agreements and not taking it personally or making assumptions, because it's so easy to get caught up in beating ourselves up over somebody else maybe not showing up with the same integrity that we'd like to see or that we present in this world. So, and that is a huge thing behind Reiki. That is what it is all about. Letting the ego, removing the ego from the healing that you're doing. And as human beings, that is, it's not everybody can do that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it's an honor to know people like you and knowing
thank you.
that we're not alone. We're not alone in this.
No, gosh, no.
Yeah.
And I really do believe for for the most part, I really do believe people want to do good. Like that, especially within our communities, like that people want to do good and people want to show up and what am I trying to say? I really believe that people want healing. That's why they show up and ask to, learn about services to, I would like to believe that people don't wake up in the morning with, you know, um, cruel intentions. Like they really have a good heart. We all perceive things differently. And so when I look at someone and I'm like, I don't know how you're doing what you're doing today. That's because that's my perception of what's going on in their world. And I don't know all the details of their world. So it's like I kind of have to step back for a minute and check myself too, about why I'm looking at their world the way I am. And I understand that too. So,
Such a great
that
point.
being said, like that being said, I can only run my business the way that I run my business, right? Like I really did set my business up with the best of intentions, and I can only handle this piece, right? Like I can only do this, and hope that, and the same way that you do, right? Like you have your best of intentions, and you run your business the way that you do. And this goes out to everybody, right? Like we wake up and we start our day. And I think goes out mainly to people that feel like you're doing the best that you can, and things just are not going right. Like, especially like in a saturated market, for instance, where you feel like you cannot compete. You run your business the way that you feel is best, right? Whether it's accessible and affordable, or connecting with your clients, or you're going to have the best damn yoga program there is, or whatever it is that sets you apart and provides healing or a safe space or whatever it is. You keep doing that and being consistent in that, and you will set yourself apart. There's no competing with that. People will align with that are supposed to align with that. And it doesn't matter if there is a yoga practitioner or a Reiki practitioner on every damn corner in your city. You will attract the people that need to be attracted to that. They will align to that. And so it doesn't matter how saturated your market is, or whatever the case is. The people that need to be with you are going to be with you because of what you're offering. And I remind myself of that all the time when I'm like, there are a lot of Reiki practitioners and billings. How do I compete? Well, I set myself apart the best that I can by being accessible and affordable. My yoga class is geared towards everybody, and not as like a slogan or some quirky little thing. It really is geared towards women that are shaped like me, right? And I'm going to say it, plus size. I'm a curvy woman. I'm gearing it towards women that are also in positions like me, whose bodies kind of creak when they get off the floor, like, women that have been through some shit.
Yeah.
It's also accessible to masculine energies. I open my class up to feminine and masculine energies. So if you are in those positions where you have a space that's open to different kinds of demographics and things like that, people really respect that. And especially for
Yeah.
healing, I can't tell you how many times I'm just gonna throw this out here. A lot of masculine energies kind of get forgotten in healing. They're not always like welcome, and or it's not that they're indirectly not welcome, but they're not really pitched to in healing. Like we kind of forget them with Reiki or yoga and stuff. So it's kind of,
Well,
if you can be
the
a
energy
space
is
that opens
felt.
up.
Yeah, like it might not be something that's
Mhm.
spoken to, but that
Yeah,
energy is very much felt. And I don't know if it's a sign of what's collectively happening in our times where it's like a crime to be a cis white male or whatever. And don't get me wrong, there are times where I'm like, ugh. Um,
but
but
you're
like,
right.
yeah, but my partner, for example, like when we went through our Reiki certification together, he's typically the only male, even if we're saying we're going to a cacao ceremony or something like that. There might be two or three males, but it is mostly predominantly women. But the fact is, we all have masculine and feminine that we are bringing to the
Yes.
table. It's about mastering the balance in between the two. It's very interesting because since my divorce, and actually my ex, Bert, he's back in your area. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I'll keep an eye.
I after that we record this, I wanted to talk to you about maybe just shooting him. I don't know, shoot him a gift certificate for your services because who doesn't need Reiki, right? Um, poor guy was married to me for 20 years. Holy shit, he needs it.
Oh my gosh.
Just a little
You're
joke.
you're
Okay.
good. You're good. You are
But
a blessing and you know it.
thank you. I do. We are both fucking goddesses. Like sometimes it's hard to remember that, but it's so
Yeah.
freaking true. Whatever shape or size we come in, it doesn't matter what our outside package is. We are amazing spirits. But lately, watching you offering these yoga classes and opening your Reiki practice or your brick and mortar space for that, I just, my heart has been like, yes, 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 because yoga and just trying to increase my practice with that. And where I was this time last year, I was in excruciating chronic pain. Probably a lot of what I was drinking, just was hoping to get some numb and really thinking I was getting good sleep when I was just drinking to pass out in my pain. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, not great. But without yoga, I would not have had the healing happen to get to the point where I had my hip replacement back in May. And now I can do things that I could have never done with my body before, but I was ashamed and embarrassed to go to like a regular yoga class because I'm in hippie country and I had one bad experience where I just didn't feel welcome in a particular yoga class, and that was enough for me to turn my back and just like turn away from yoga for 10 years when it was the thing that really my body really really needed. So I admire so much what you're doing, and
Thank
yeah,
you.
just keep it up. You're amazing. I love it.
Well, I think when you talk about authenticity, I think that's what is core to connection. If I can't be authentic with my clients, um, I cannot help anyone heal. I cannot heal myself. And those yoga classes are about authenticity. I became, it's just like Reiki. I became certified in yoga because I couldn't go to any yoga space and feel comfortable. I was walking into these classes. I had tried a couple and it just was like, I don't belong here. I'm not their size. I can't do these poses. And so it was like, if I don't feel comfortable here and looking around the room, and I'm guessing others just like me also don't feel comfortable because they're not here. And so it was like, I can go and create a space for them, or I could just call it a day. And it was like, nope, I'm going to create a space. So I went and got certified, created a space. And you know what? They're showing up. My class has seniors, it has children, it has men, and it has women, and it's like, this
Awesome.
is what I need. And it comes back to that authenticity piece. I can't deny what I am physically. I can create a space for us though. And the moment that uh great example is my last class was the first class I'd had in 2 weeks. I'd taken 2 weeks off because we were doing some stuff here in the space, like shampooing the carpets and all these things. And it was like, let's just take 2 weeks off for the holidays and all that. So I go to do my first class and I totally mess up the first pose. I said we were going to do one pose and then I start to do like a totally different one. And I pause, my brain like shuts down and I realized I'm fucking up. I'm just like, I tell everyone, I said, I'm so sorry, guys. Please have grace for me. I have not done this in 2 weeks. And they all laugh. And it's just this moment of like, she's human, right? Like
Yeah.
they get it. Like I think it felt good for everybody, for all of us to like realize, hey, guess what? I'm not perfect, and I tell them that all the time in class, like that, that I'm sore, that my bones,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, did you hear that? That was my hip. Like having these like real human moments with people. One, it lightens the mood and it helps everyone feel safe. Two,
Yeah.
it reminds them, like, I think in this, I'm gonna call people out and they're not gonna like it. In this community of like healers and light workers and all that things, it's really easy to feel like somehow we're a notch above people. Like we're the healers and we know what's best and we're good and we're this and that. We're not, we're human too. And it's
Or
really important to
even
share that.
people like, and that is really common in the healing community. This I don't know if you've heard the song, and I can't remember who does it, but it's a parody song called "I'm More Spiritual Than You." it's
I
it's
have not.
all about that, just like, oh, I'm more spiritual than you because XYZ. But the fact is we are all spiritual beings, just having, we're here in human life school having our
Yes.
own unique experience. But yeah, that like putting yourself above anyone else, and it seems like that can happen in any community, but it is a very common thing in spiritual communities, when the fact is we are all really just mirrors of each other. And like,
Yes.
you know we're all one and the same, just seeing these mirrors of one of each other. But like you say about being authentic in your class, it's like when you're in that position as like a teacher or instructor, some people just naturally put you on that pedestal, whether that's something that you're looking to do or not. That might,
Oh
that's
yeah, easily.
so to make a mistake and to connect and be like, oh yeah, hey, I'm human too, then people are able to see the mirror of themselves in you, and it's empowering, um,
Yeah,
which is why it's so freaking important. Yeah.
it is. It is. And I think having connection with people, right? Like that moment of like seeing yourself in someone else. It allows that bond of them being able to trust you with other things, right? Like that, I guess what I'm saying is like if we are connected, then they are able to trust me with other stuff. A lot of my yoga clients end up becoming Reiki clients, things like that. It becomes a natural course when they do feel safe in that space. And it's an honor, and it should be something taken with privilege. And so, um, my hardest my hardest thing to accept in this place of trust, I really struggle with it, is when people say you're a healer. No, I'm not a healer. I'm a facilitator of healing. I always tell them your body is the master healer. I'm a facilitator of healing. I really don't want that title. I don't want that role. Um, they should always be empowered. Our clients should always be empowered, whether that's in yoga, Reiki, breath work, whatever your modality is. I think the client should always be empowered to be the healer. This is their healing journey, not mine. um
What a
I
beautiful way to say that. It's spot
Yeah,
on. Love it. Spot on. Because it's so true. Our bodies, our cells are what are healing us, but it's a matter of what am I trying to say? It's like, yeah, some people, again, it comes down to like putting your facilitator on a pedestal and not even realizing that the power does lie within us. It's just we've gotta fucking believe it.
yeah,
Believe it,
yeah,
know that change can happen. And if it takes somebody else telling you, I guess we all require that at some point in time, probably many points in our life. But yeah, at the end of the day, it comes down to you mastering your own energy.
yeah, it really
Yeah,
does. um so yeah, that's my stance on that. But
I love it.
um other than that, so I recently had started yoga, as you know, here. That has been great. And if I could give anybody any advice, like if you're listening to this and you're wondering, what should I do about yoga? I have been successful in my yoga classes in that I do them at hours that no one else does them. So
Yeah.
my yoga classes are later than everybody else's, and people love that. My evening classes are always full. And again, I was willing and wanted to have yoga for everybody. I didn't want to exclude anybody. I actually wanted the quote unquote misfits, right? People like me, the curvies, the seniors, the masculine energies. Um, I do allow children to come to my classes as long as they are, um, you know, I trust parents to make the best decision on that. And if their children were to get rowdy, we would address it, but it hasn't come up yet. So I've had kids as young as 8, and they do fantastic.
Yeah.
So we have kind of like just this hodgepodge group. So my yoga classes have been really successful, I think, because I don't put a lot of barriers on them. So I've seen my yoga class continue to grow.
Yeah.
I am certified in breath work, but I don't offer any breath work classes, and I'll tell you why. I hate breath work. I am one of those people that like I know that there's so many benefits to breath work and so many endless benefits to meditation. It actually gives me anxiety to meditate. I cannot sit there and do it. So I will tell a client, like I'll be in my office with a client visiting with them, and I'll say like I can tell right away if like meditation would be a benefit for them, like they would do fantastic with it. But me, I'm over here like, please don't make me sit in quiet for like so for me meditation looks like crafting, right? Meditation could be, it doesn't have to be sitting in like, that mode. It could, meditation for me is crafting. I make a lot of things for the store here. And
Oh,
so that's meditation for me. Reading could be meditation. Um, that's where I find my meditation. And so I haven't done a breath work class yet, but I am certified in it. I found that when I tried to like personally do breath work for me, I actually started to hyperventilate. It's got to be a trauma response
wow.
for me. I got to work through that one.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
I'm like,
wild.
I introduced Kundalini yoga into my practice. Gosh, I think I got into it about this time last year because with like Vinyasa Flow was the other classes I was going to, but I was struggling with my hip. It was very painful. It was just bone on bone. I have hip dysplasia. So prior to my surgery, yeah, it was incredibly painful. So, but I would try because I would be embarrassed or ashamed that I couldn't do certain things instead of just accepting that, okay, my right leg just does not do that. But, I would want to push myself beyond what I should because of, yeah, that feeling of shame or whatever.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
Kundalini, which for listeners who don't know, Kundalini is mantras and mantras, mudras. You're usually seated, not always, but it's a lot of breath work and chanting and um I've felt a huge shift in myself with that. And it's just, I love that you're bringing this up because, and of course, where Radiant Spirit began was guided meditations and guided like sitting for, 40 to 50 minutes just sitting. Like, and that's my jam. But I love how you're bringing this up because there are so many different, I like to call them jewels in the jewelry box, but there's so many different options or modalities and every person is going to resonate with something different or just like a collection of, oh, this works for me, this doesn't. Okay, great. But yeah, we're also different, but at the end of the day, it's all about getting in connection with yourself. What makes your heart happy? What makes you feel good? Um
It is.
yeah, and I love that you're helping so many people, particularly catering to people who might feel like outsiders or not necessarily welcome in that community because everybody needs this.
Yeah,
Everybody.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you are a person that is interested in this type of work or these healing modalities, I want to impress upon your heart. It can be common to struggle with imposter syndrome
Mhm.
if, say, you love Reiki or you love yoga or meditation or whatever, but maybe you struggle with eating healthy or you struggle with, um, let's say, breath work or whatever. I want to really just place this little gem, this jewel in your heart that this is not an all or none. This is not, you can be a fabulous facilitator of healing. And just like me, go eat at Taco Bell. You can be a phenomenal Reiki practitioner and struggle with trauma. In fact, some of the best ones do.
Yeah. Ah,
You can be a wonderful yoga instructor and really struggle with breath work. Like you do not have to feel like I guess I just want to impress this because I've talked to a lot of folks and myself included, felt like, am I really cut out for this if I don't hit all these boxes, right? Like if I struggle with meditation, am I really worthy of this? I don't eat very healthy. Am I still a quote unquote healer, right? If I'm not healed all the way, am I really fit to sit here and support others if I
oh, you froze.
XYZ? And the answer is yes. Um, just know that you are absolutely worthy of those things. And we need you to do those things. The community and the universe absolutely need you to step up and share your gifts. Just know that there's absolutely a place for you, even if you are not interested in meditation, but you love breath work,
Yeah.
even if you love Reiki, but you know what, you can't stand yoga, that's great. Please
Yeah.
don't feel like you have to be in the healing community all in 100% in order to serve a purpose. That's not how this works. And I think it's really
Yeah.
easy to start to get into this kind of community. And once you're in, all of a sudden you're in. And you're like, I have to do all these things. And it's like, no, you're good. Trust me. Even if you do one thing, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
if you do one thing for yourself, that's amazing.
Absolutely. And it's just those little things. Like, yeah, oh, I had a thought and it just disappeared. But oh yeah, you had mentioned like, oh, I'm healed enough to be able to do this. But the thing is like no one on this planet is
Yep.
healed enough. That's what
Reach.
we're here for. Our whole purpose in walking this journey in these human bodies is to heal. And I'm not, I have a feeling we're probably in alignment with just the acknowledgement that we are born into these bodies carrying the wounds of our ancestors, the trauma of our ancestors. So even if you have this perfectly cushy, no adversity whatsoever, although that's not the human experience, let's be real, that does not exist. Even if we
You are
perceive
correct.
that in people we see, right? That's bullshit. But we like to think it. We like to see somebody out there and be like, oh, yes, this person has never struggled a day in their life. That's
Absolutely.
bullshit. That's the human experience. It's struggling, it's learning how to address what is triggering us. What is that wound? Where is it coming from? Is this mine? Is this from outside my body? But the ways that we all do that in our own unique, fucking beautiful ways is exactly that, super unique to the individual. And so some things are going to work, some things are not. And like to say that, oh, well, okay, so I'm going to start practicing yoga, which means all of a sudden I have to change everything about my life. I have to change the way I eat. I have to change the way I dress. I have to change the people I hang out with. It's crazy, but it's a common thought. Like, and
It
I
is. Oh gosh.
feel like I probably did that too. It's like,
I
oh,
think that
well,
I
this
think
is
a
just
lot of
me
people
now.
do. And that's why I send that out. I send it out because I feel like it doesn't get addressed enough. But when people start getting into these types of communities and studying and reading the books, oh my gosh, you read those books and you read all the different things and you're like, why am I not like this? Well, because you're you, and we want you the way that you are. We want you to bring your insight into this experience. But it can be really easy to just go through imposter syndrome where you're just like, I'm not good enough, I don't belong here. Um, but that's not the case. You can be the most phenomenal Reiki practitioner, the most phenomenal yoga instructor, and all any healing modality you want to list right here. But you can be you. Please don't feel like you have to change every aspect of your life and or do all of the things. And I think that's where people get caught up. And I use myself as an example when I tell people that I don't do meditation, the look on their face. People expect you. So a lot of people will call us light workers, right? You're a light
Yes.
worker. And so they expect light workers to do all of those things. And so when I'm like,
No.
yeah, I love Taco Bell. I really do, guys. I love Taco Bell. And then they'll say that, how are you doing that? Aren't you a yoga instructor? Yeah, I'm a chunky one. Leave me alone. And why don't you meditate? Because I just can't. And they're just baffled. And it's like,
Well,
why?
and technically
What are
you
you?
do,
You
just in a
know?
different way. Like as like so meditation and leading guided meditations is like a big thing for me. Although I'm not certified, I just started that journey by like filling in for my meditation instructor when he was gone, and who's now my partner. But back in the day, we were just friends, and I was like, yeah, I'll fill in for you, and that's how I got started. But and just found out that I really, really loved it. But there's no certification or anything backing whatever I do. And it's just kind of like if I'm gonna do it, um, kind of in the same way that where like it's important to point out that we're all just here to help each other with wherever we're at. Certifications are great, education is great, all of that is
Yes,
awesome. Um,
absolutely.
but I'm never going to claim to be a mindfulness coach unless I go through some sort of thing, even though that's what I'm kind of known for doing because it's just what I do.
Yeah.
But it's
And you're
because
good
it's
at
what
it.
makes me happy. So it's like that's the most important thing. Where does your heart leading you? What does your heart tell you you want to do? Well, then that's the right thing. That's it. We
Yeah.
put so much like pressure to like make ourselves want to do or be something that we see in the world that we perceive we're supposed to be. But at the end of the day, if it's not making you happy, if it doesn't feel super good in your body, it's probably, let it go. It's not good for you. Yeah.
I love that. I really do. And I wish more people heard that and acknowledged it. We would be such a better society if we did.
Right. And at the same time, and it's something you mentioned earlier, and I talk about the four agreements a lot. That's very important to me. So they are not making any assumptions, always doing your best, not taking things personally, and speaking with intention. So using your words um, with honesty, integrity. But the fifth one that I recently learned about is also always knowing that other people are doing their best. And I think that that's one I struggle with lately. And I just feel like I wanted to bring that up. There was something you said earlier because it's for myself, it is really easy for me to assume people aren't doing their best. But that's bullshit. Like you said, people don't wake up in the morning and think, okay, I'm gonna go how
Yeah.
can I make a shit show of today? That's not how we do.
No, I mean, I really do believe, and I have to remind myself that I believe this because I do. I believe that most of us get up and we really do want to have the best day, right? Even those of us that are so broken at times. But our version of the best day looks different. You
Yeah.
know, people are waking up and they're hurting and their lives are and I know this because I've been there, right? Where your heart is so broken and your world is very distorted. And so those are the folks that we might think they're making a ruckus, but to them, their world is just it is a ruckus. Like
Yeah.
how could we possibly look at their day and think they're doing their best? I mean, but that is their best. And I think to have grace is really important. And also it's a really good reminder to each of us of how much we need each other. We need connection. We need love. We need grace. Um, we have become a very disconnected society.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, oh, social media disconnected. I mean like disconnected in that we don't have empathy for each other, disconnected in that we don't, and this is a biblical reference, but not meant to be biblical. We are our brother's keeper. If you
Yeah.
see someone really struggling, why are we not helping? Like, why are we
Exactly.
not loving?
Yeah. And yeah, in this sense that we are all like, yes, we are having our own unique, individual, beautiful experience and all here on our own individual journey here. We are also all one in the same and we are all connected. And so when you talk about that disconnect, what it seems like is happening collectively is that we have taught humanity that there's nothing about being connected to your heart center. It's all about putting up this facade and working hard and just your value is based on your like what you're putting into the world or your productivity is where your value lies,
Yeah,
not that it's in your heart. Like uh, and making our yeah, making our hearts sing, just bringing joy into our lives so that we can reflect that out into the world in whatever way that looks like. Because when we're feeling good, we see somebody suffering, we want to help that person and bring them up. Yeah. So
yeah,
the more we're doing that, the more we're having grace for people and not just grace, the more grace we have for ourselves. Because whether we like to admit it or not, most people are living in this world where we are self just beating the shit out of ourselves all the time. I know I do. Um,
yes.
but the
And it
more
shouldn't
we are
be like
lifting
that.
ourselves up, we're lifting up everybody else around us as well. So, yeah, super important.
It is. Yeah, I do believe that, we're all energetically connected.
Yeah.
We are all spiritually connected. Um, and you had kind of talked to me about my yoga classes, like about Zoom and stuff. And I would love to do a virtual class, but I actually enjoy being connected to my students, like getting to know them. I would try so hard to remember their names. We can do that as a society, right? Like we
Yeah.
can be connected to people in a way that helps them feel loved, helps them know that we are here. And the more that we do that, I think we would see a reduction in addiction. We would see a reduction in mental
Yeah.
health issues. People just feeling like they had someone to talk to. And I think that we are in positions that are unique as far as like being like a Reiki practitioner or a quote unquote light worker, whatever you want to refer, to yourselves as. But when you're in those positions, you're in positions of trust. How many of us have heard very private things in our offices? I mean, we're almost like, we're hearing very deep things, very private things. We are in positions of love. Like we are able to really comfort people. We are able to support people. I would not give that up for the world. Like that is everything to me. Um, I would love to expand that and continue to provide that light to others, and so I think um I would just I would just really encourage others, right? Just keep connecting to others. And that you don't have to be a Reiki practitioner to do that. Just offer lending ear, lending heart, all of those things to other people.
Yeah. It is so important. And yeah, it's not like you don't need a license or certification to be an open heart for somebody or a shoulder to cry on or lean on or just ears to listen, whatever. And we all need that. Connection is so important. Connection to self, connection to our community. And really, the more we are just our authentic self, like you had mentioned earlier, like we're all energy, we're all vibrating at a
Yeah,
frequency. And the more authentic we can be, the more we are going to attract everything on that frequency. So
absolutely.
so important to just be ourselves, not like whatever projection that we think society wants us to be. I know I've spent most of my life just trying to live up to this expectation of what I thought society, my parents, my spouse, my whatever, everybody wants me to be this, but who the fuck am I? Because I just was learning to like realizing time after time, I just keep disappointing. Well, it's because I'm not being myself.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And even though I thought the more I lean into and learning what myself looks like, the more I would think, oh, I'm going to be a disappointment to XYZ. This isn't what my parents expected or whatever. That's all bullshit because the more I get in tune with myself and the happier I become, it doesn't matter what people, even my family who thinks very differently about the world, they're still fucking happy for me and proud of me more
Yeah.
so than when I was drinking myself to death, to be perfectly honest. So,
No, I
um,
agree. And it's a mask most of us, well, really all of us, you cannot maintain that mask for very long.
yeah,
Um,
right.
I did it for a long time. And in some ways, I'm still doing it, right? Even in this community, like I catch myself trying so hard to be, I'm a perfectionist to a core. I won't lie there. I am perfectionist to a core.
Virgo.
And it is really hard to maintain that mask. You
Yeah,
cannot do it. You start to break, and
yeah,
it's like you, it, by being your authentic self, you give others the freedom to be themselves too. And so it's just better to just drop it.
yeah. It takes practice though. And it's I'm really grateful that you are so open with your journey on social media because while yeah, we worked in a office building together. I moved away years ago. But I'm so glad that we've stayed in connection on social media so that I can see like, okay, she's doing it. She's doing it in Billings. I can freaking do this. It's given me a lot of
Yes.
inspiration.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Glad.
and thank you for being open and honest about your entire healing journey, even throughout
Gosh,
COVID,
yes.
because I remember seeing that. Um, yeah, I remember seeing that and it's powerful. It is fucking powerful. So
Thank
thank you.
you.
It takes a lot of courage to be able to be open and honest about that. But that's what the world needs. We need to see
I think
ourselves
so.
in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're such a beautiful, bright light and a
Same
beacon
to
for
you, my
so
dear.
many.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ah, well, so I would love to know if you, well, actually, I'm thinking about this because I'd like to put information for Dragon's Gate and make sure people can find you easily. It's like, I imagine your website has like class schedules, things like that.
It does, yes.
Great. Well, with your permission, I would love to put a link to your website in all of the descriptors on this so people can find you easily. And you also have a
Okay.
shop there, don't you?
I have a shop online and I have a
Woo!
shop here at Sacred Grounds Healing and Art Studio, which is where I rent my office and where I practice yoga.
Nice. I will be sure to get all of the info so I can share all of the good stuff that you're up to. So if anybody wants to shop your store, just check out what's going on. If you're in Billings and you want to hop on a class, oh my gosh, I kind of want to come visit and just take your yin yoga class. That'd be lovely.
Oh, I would love that.
I'll let you know if I make it back to the Billings area.
Please.
I will have to take your class for sure. Awesome. Well, so yeah, Dragon's Gate Reiki, April Veach, and for all of the stuff I've got going on my side, you guys, that's embracelove.life. I'll of course leave those links in the descriptors on this too, for herbal goodies or scheduling Reiki or whatever, tarot readings, all the stuff. I know you do that too, don't you, April?
Oh my gosh, I do oracle reading. I commend you.
Okay.
Tarot is hard for me. I'm like, I don't know what these mean.
I'm learning. But actually, and I know I use this book to help guide me. It's
Oh,
the Modern Witchcraft Book of Tarot, and it really is it's been super helpful for learning the understanding behind everything, the reverse meanings, things like that. It's yeah, but there's a lot to know.
that's a lot. Yeah, I'm impressed. Like,
I really enjoy doing it and learning it too. I love that you do Oracle as well. Um, yeah, I'll be sure to put all of our information out there so anyone listening can just easily click, find us, and see what we're up to. Again, thank you, April, so much for joining me
yes,
today.
thank
Um,
you. I really appreciate you.
I really appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing what other magical things you have in your future. A bright path.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.